It has been over a year since I've released my 2 TTAF films. From the surface level, these films can be seen as goofy or comedic and not taken seriously at all, and I decided that this would be the appropriate time to release this video that I've been wanting to make for a while now. And don't you worry, we are still making TTAF 3. Alright, back to the main topic. TTAF, more commonly known as The Truth About Freddy's, is a Five Nights at Freddy's fan film series created by Marco Montalbano in 2023. Yes, I know, I'm talking about myself. The reason why I wanted to make this video essay is because I wanted to share the director's side of the story. What was going on in these films? What were the characters like? And most importantly, who was Mike Afton, or Mike Schmidt? What were his motives? What was he like as a person? We'll get into that. Five Nights at Freddy's. A game created by Scott Cawthon in 2014, 11 years ago. Over the span of these 11 years, there has been a multitude of games released, books, film adaptations, and an official movie adaptation released in 2023, with a second one coming out this year. Now that Five Nights at Freddy's is 11 years old, there's a lot more that we know about it now than what we did 11 years ago when it was released. From the surface level, we have characters like William Afton, Michael Afton, Jeremy Fitzgerald. We have so many characters now, but what do we really know about these characters? Well, for one, we have the Afton family. We have William Afton, the purple guy. Then we have his son, Michael Afton, the main protagonist in most of the games. We have the crying child, which we don't really know the name of yet, but people now are saying his name is Dave, and a lot more crazy theories. So, how could I adapt this into my film adaptation? And most importantly, how could I adapt the main character in Five Nights at Freddy's into my film adaptation, that being Mike Afton? Before the TTAF film was released, I came up with a multitude of drafts and screenplay ideas that I got rid of. But going off of what I already knew of Mike in the games, it was pretty easy to come up with my own story for him. Because, of course, it's a fan film. I'm not going to be following the exact lore of the games. I want this to be my own unique and creative story. And that's what I did. I wrote my version of Mike to be this very morally gray character, and I don't think many people caught up on that yet, even to this day. I'm sure people who watched or rewatched my films have just seen it in this very comedic lens, and when we're introduced to this main character, Mike, the audience has no other choice but to latch onto this main character and look at everything through his perspective, and that's the trap. What if I told you that Mike, my adaptation of him, in these films, who from the surface level seemingly is a good guy and wants to undo the bad things his father has done, is actually a bad guy? The introduction to our main character is simple. In this comedic opening, it shows Mike digging through the trash looking for food because he got kicked out of his mom's house for, quote-unquote, acting a little weird. This opening shot really makes the audience sympathize with him and really understand his situation. And with the humor added onto it, it kind of just sets up a trap for the audience to believe that, hey, this is the guy we're rooting for. What's going to happen to him? We all know Mike as this down-on-his-luck man who's struggling and encounters the horrors of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. But what if I told you that there's more horrors than just haunted animatronics? In this film series, of course, him getting kicked out of his house for acting a little weird is not just a little thing we added in there for no reason. It actually foreshadows his deeper instability and his flaws in his character. There's a reason why he was kicked out of his house, and that reason is he's not a good person. And to everybody he interacts with, he ultimately just destroys their lives. Some even losing their lives because of him. And I can explain exactly why. A couple minutes into the film, we meet this new character, Jeremy Fitzgerald. We don't know much about him, other than that he's a day guard at the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And right off the bat, he's already uncovering dark secrets that was held within the restaurant. This would have been his point where he'd quit his job entirely and Freddy's wouldn't be a part of his life anymore. But Mike entered his life. This seemingly innocent interaction between Jeremy and Mike would be a pivotal standpoint in this series that changed everything forever. Jeremy doesn't know who Mike is at this point, but Jeremy, being the people-pleaser nice guy that he is, decides it's only fair to show him around the restaurant since he's working the night shift. This little mistake Jeremy makes would ruin Jeremy's life. As the film progresses, Mike starts to encounter paranormal stuff happening. The first night, the music in his AirPods start to sound different, kind of scary almost. The second night, Mike encounters this little creepy doll that comes alive and tries to attack him from under the desk. But then the third night comes around. By this time, Mike's intuition has told him that the place is haunted, and he wants to do something about it. He wants to immediately take action. Way too early. And at this point, Mike and Jeremy are in contact with each other. They have each other's phone numbers, So this idea comes in mind where Mike wants to get Jeremy's help to dismantle the animatronics because he believes that they are moving and that they're gonna hurt him. And Mike was right. They were indeed possessed. Now, me saying that Mike getting Jeremy's help is bad may be jumping the gun here. And at this first time, it doesn't seem too bad, like he's just trying to get help and assistance. But after this, Mike continues to do this. On night 3, Mike and Jeremy fail to dismantle the animatronics, and Jeremy gets hurt by Foxy, gets bitten, knocked unconscious by Foxy, and Jeremy is clearly very traumatized after this, and I'll get to that in a bit. Then Mike gets attacked by Foxy and gets knocked out, and this is where the film reaches its climax. Mike wakes up, and Jeremy is on the floor, knocked unconscious. But Mike sees an old friend, Samuel May. Samuel May, who is Samuel Emily in the books, and the son of Henry, warns Mike about his father. It is revealed in the film through Sam that William Afton has been corrupting and using Sam as an accomplice for a whole year straight. And that's why Sam has been missing for so long. Sam's missing poster was revealed in the beginning of the film, but that was only it. Sam was being used as a puppet, essentially. Now, when Mike was warned by Sam that Afton, his father, would be coming to kill him, Mike decided to contact his friend Evan, who he had talked to about jobs in the beginning of the movie on the phone. Evan had no knowledge or wasn't aware at all of what was happening at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He had no knowledge about William Afton or what he did. Nobody did, really. But Mike knew what was up. He knew the danger, and he decided that he needed backup. Mike replaces Jeremy with Evan. And what happens to Evan? Evan gets killed. Jeremy was dragged into dismantling the animatronics, which ended up with him being harmed. Who dragged him into this? Mike did. It's a clear and consistent pattern of Mike putting others in harm's way, framing it as help, but it's really about him not having to face the dangers alone, essentially using others as a shield. It's all about self-preservation with Mike. And if you're not convinced yet, hopefully what I'm about to say next will convince you. Now onto the second TTAF film. It immediately opens up with Mike digging something into the ground in his backyard. It was then revealed that this was Evan's burial spot. Mike made an illegal graveyard in his backyard, and this mistake, along with many other ones, would come crashing down on him in the end of this film. In the scene where he's talking at Evan's grave, he's actually begging for forgiveness. He's not trying to make amends. He simply just wanted approval. Approval from Evan even after death. It shows that he doesn't really care much about what happened to Evan, rather that Mike only cares about what people think of him. Mike wants to feed into his own delusion, and by burying Evan's body in his own backyard and not telling any of Evan's family members or friends, no closure for them, they don't know what happened to him. They've been left in the dark, especially by Mike. Evan was last seen with Mike, and that's why Mike gets attacked by those two kids on the bridge. Those were Evan's friends, and they wanted to know the answers behind it. They wanted to know what happened to Evan, and Mike just wouldn't tell them. He wouldn't own up to what he did. No closure for them. Mike carelessly disposed of Evan's body in his own backyard, erasing him from the world, just so Mike could maintain a good image on himself. Mike loves to guilt trip and manipulate people. It's evident through this one scene with Mike and Jeremy. Mike had investigated the Freddy's location after the incident with his father and Evan. He found that there were blacked out rooms, cameras with false time codes, and just glitched feed. One camera feed was out, and that was the parts and service room, where all the bad stuff happened. But instead of actually investigating it on his own, he straight up just leaves the building and tells Jeremy, who had recovered from his injuries at the hospital, who's had trauma from the place, to go look and investigate what's happening in there himself, even after everything that happened. Jeremy's hesitant at first, and even asks, why do I have to do it? But eventually gives in to Mike's guilt trip, which was essentially, oh, I'm just too afraid to go back there. My friend died there, and my other friend is a bad person being controlled by my father. Oh, it's all terrible. I just can't go in there. I'm too afraid, and I want you to do it. Mike reassures Jeremy that he'll protect him. He'll be outside the building to make sure nothing bad happens to him or he won't get killed. This is very contradictory because Mike couldn't really protect Jeremy unless he went inside the building himself. Mike already quit out of fear, but he manipulated Jeremy into taking the risks that Mike would not. And when Jeremy collapses unconscious due to Afton's gas technology being used by Sam, Mike is forced inside the building, but only out of desperation, not bravery, where Mike also collapses due to the gas being emitted throughout the building. Mike's confrontation with Sam plays like a moment of courage. He stabs Sam to death and escapes with Jeremy, but the truth is more damning. You see, Sam's setup to trap Mike and Jeremy to the chairs was kind of sloppy and rushed, like he had barely any time to prepare the setup to trap them in. If he had more time to plan, Mike and Jeremy would have died. This underscores the recklessness behind Mike's decision. His choice to investigate never saved anyone. In fact, it could have killed them both. Their survival was not out of bravery and determination. It was simply just sheer luck. At the very end of TTAF 2, in the epilogue, William Afton, Mike's father, does indeed come back. And when Mike realizes that he has no way out, that his death is inevitable, Mike says to William, I deserve to die, just get it over with. This is a moment of self-awareness, but he didn't redeem himself. He's not sacrificing himself for others. He's not righting his wrongs. He is simply acknowledging what the audience has seen all along. His selfishness and manipulation led to tragedy, and he cannot escape the consequences. His death was just simply inevitable. In conclusion, the story I crafted for The Truth About Freddy's and for Mike Afton is a story that symbolically mirrors the paths that William Afton went down. William Afton was in his son's shoes at one point. Mike's story reveals a much darker truth. He is manipulative, selfish, and ultimately just as destructive as the man he despises.